48 states are launching an investigation into whether Google violated antitrust regulations. The probe will look into whether Google has become too dominant in the online advertising space and as an internet search engine. Facebook is also facing a similar investigation. Hillary Lane has the latest.
Google's advertising practices and dominance in online searches are under investigation by attorneys general in 48 states, as well as Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico. The bipartisan group made the announcement in front of the Supreme Court.
When there is no longer a free market or competition, this increases prices, even when something is marketed as free.
There's concern the tech giant is behaving like a monopoly, stomping out or buying out rivals, and that it holds an oversized sway in the digital advertising market.
The overwhelming number of query responses relate to Google, businesses, and/or advertisers that pay for that slot.
The attorneys general say small businesses with smaller advertising budgets lose out, and so do small states whose residents rely on products and services they find online.
We like wide open spaces, and we like competition as well.
Google officials say they expect the states will ask about similar investigations, both in the U.S. and internationally. Back in March, Europe fined Google $1.7 billion for forcing advertisers to only advertise with them. Facebook is also facing new scrutiny. On Friday, New York led 8 states and the District of Columbia to open up a similar antitrust investigation into the social media company. Both tech companies are already being investigated by the U.S. Justice Department. Both say they will work with state officials on their concerns. Hillary Lane, CBS News, New York.
So for more on this, I am joined now by Roger Chang. He's the executive editor and head of CNET News. Thank you so much for joining us. So we were just saying here that, I mean, when I heard about this investigation, I thought, well, Google's basically a verb in the English language now. So I don't know if you can get more dominant than that as a brand.
Right.
And it didn't happen overnight. So why is this happening now?
Well, the truth of the matter is it's not just now, right? This is the latest in a series of investigations, right? Keep in mind that the Justice Department is opening up its own antitrust investigation. And really, this has started over a year and a half ago, this kind of backlash against big tech, right? Both in terms of how they handle our privacy and in terms of the dominance of this business. You know, a couple years ago, they're all considered darlings, success stories in America, and now the rhetoric has really reversed. It's a 180 now as we scrutinize these companies.
What does this mean for Google and its parent company, Alphabet?
It's unclear at this point what will actually happen. Like the AGs, they're hesitated or reluctant to talk about potential remedies right off the bat, but you can imagine that they're going to try for fines, potentially break up the company, or at least, if nothing else, force them to change their business practices. And ultimately, that's what it's about.
Okay, let's talk about something more, well, not more interesting, but something a little nicer. Big announcement coming from Apple, right? They're sort of previewing what their big September release is going to be. Usually it's like around September 21st or something, all right? Because I always remember it's around my birthday, which is great for me. So let's talk about it. What rumors are you hearing?
Well, today's the big Apple event, and it's the big iPhone event. This is their big event of the year. The iPhone is obviously the marquee product in their lineup, and so the thing of it is this year it's probably not going to be that impressive. It's essentially going to look a lot like the model that's been around for like the last 3 years.
Right.
So we're going to get an extra camera. Things are going to be a little bit faster, but in terms of upgrades, it's all going to be kind of incremental.
What about, I heard Apple Watch too, there might be like an upgrade or something.
And similar to the iPhone, the Apple Watch is probably not going to change physically. It'll look very similar. We're seeing reports that it'll work faster, there'll be some sleep detection, and it'll use new materials, ceramic and titanium, but usually that means it's going to be even more expensive, which is pretty much what all Apple products are about nowadays.
Yeah, that is true. Was there something about charging? I heard something about like, is it wireless charging?
So one of the features is the ability for your iPhone, and we don't know if it's sort of the higher end model or not, but the iPhone to actually charge other accessories. So your AirPod case, which can be charged wirelessly now, you put it on top of your iPhone, it'll charge. keep in mind it's not a huge innovation.
That's what I was just going to say.
Pulled this off with Galaxy S10 just earlier this year.
Yeah.
Yep.
And isn't Samsung coming out with their folding phone and stuff?
The folding phone is coming out very soon, actually, although here in the U.S. a little bit later.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Come on, Apple. Yeah. I need more innovation. I'm a devoted customer. But okay, so I bought a new Apple Watch. I was a little nervous when I heard there was an Apple Watch update, but now it was a good investment, right?
You'll be fine.
Okay. What can we? Okay. This is actually an interesting question that I'm wondering now. How do you expect consumers to respond? Because I have been consistently disappointed by these splashy events that just like tweak the product a little, or even worse, kind of do what the competitors have already done.
Yeah, I don't think you're alone in that.
Yeah.
And, the data kind of bears it out, right? Sales have been on a decline. Folks are holding onto their phones a lot longer than they used to.
They're so expensive. You can't afford to trade them in.
Right, they're extremely expensive. They've only gotten pricier over time. And frankly, these phones are generally, they're all kind of great already, right?
Yeah.
If you've got one that's a year, 2 years, even 3 years old, it's fine hanging on to them. Like I wouldn't, if you're still paying off your old phone, I definitely would suggest avoiding the next one.
That would be me. I know every year they go, oh, the camera's better. And I look at the two cameras and I go, to what? Like, not to the naked eye. It all looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the issue that Apple's struggling with is, yes, new camera, new processors, but a lot of these things aren't tangible anymore, right? They're just, and even from a superficial perspective, these phones don't even look that different from each other.
No.
So you can't even say, I have the newest one unless you look really closely.
Yeah, and do we know about anything else, like, I don't know, Apple TV or any of the other?
So we should get some more details on two of the services, Apple TV Plus and Apple Arcade, which is their subscription gaming service. And so that's what I think excites Apple executives now a lot more right now than phones. Phones are they've been out there, they're known quantity. These services give them a subscription revenue, and so I think that's what they're more excited about. You can hear a lot, we'll hear more in terms of pricing, in terms of availability on both of these services. I'm really hoping that they bundle some of these together. The idea of getting like iCloud storage, Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, and gaming with a discounted rate, that could move a lot of folks to actually subscribe. What
about their credit card? Or are they keeping it separate from these sort of splashy launches?
No, they talked about it in the last event. I imagine there'll be an update about Apple Card and Apple Pay, probably some token comment about how well it's been doing recently and how the response has been. And generally, I think folks have been, they've been pretty pleased with the Apple Card. So, yeah.
All right, Roger Chang, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.